First and foremost, when to give a call all to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Komanak Yabushah. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shah is the name of his only begotten Son, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. First and foremost, want to give a strong shalom to all the mighty men that's going out there, they're laboring, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, doing all they can to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Want to give another strong shalom to the Akwath, the sisters that are at home. They're reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things, and the unmarried sisters as well, being tender and delicate and on fire for the Most High God. Shalom, shalom. Last but not least, want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty teenagers and children in this truth, doing all they can to make their calling and election sure. It's Brother Tazamah coming at you with another cold cut through the Spirit. And the topic of this cold cut is titled, A Trust in the Most High or Die. Right? Trust in the Lord or die. And in these times, it's imperative that you have trust in the Most High. You have to ask yourself, do you really trust in the Lord? Or are you doubting? Are you wavering? Do you trust that the Lord is going to bring you through that major breakthrough? Do you trust that the Lord is going to make everything straight? Are you just out there without hope and without doubt? Trust is what's going to get you over the finish line, man. Trust in the Lord. If you trust in the Most High, is nothing more precious than that alone. Because you actually believe that no matter what situation that you're in, hey, the Lord is going to always come through. That's how much trust that you have in him. And trust is something that's built up over time. You can't just have trust in one day and that's it. No, trust is something that as you keep living, it keeps either gets built up upon or it gets lower and deteriorate. So I want to kick it off with the precept in the book of 2 Maccabees. Right? Actually, before we go to 2 Maccabees, I want to kick it off with the classic. All right, Sirach, the 2nd chapter. Let's kick it off with the classic Sirach, chapter 2. And these are all fundamental topics with fundamental precepts, but these things go a long way. All right, let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 2. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 2, and verse number 10. And it reads, Shalakia. Sirach, chapter 2 and 10, and it reads, Look at the generations of old, and see, did any ever trust in the Lord and was confounded? So the Lord always tells us to look at the generations of old. And the Lord tells us to remember the days of old through the Spirit. Remember the accounts in the scriptures. That's why they written. The accounts of King David, right? The mighty acts of Solomon, the mighty acts of Joshua, of Job, Joseph, Jacob, Abraham. All of these accounts is not written for no reason, man. They're not written just to be written in the scriptures. They're written for our learning. Didn't the Lord say that in Romans 15 and 4? Whatsoever was written aforetime was written through our learning. That through faith and patience of the scriptures we might have hope, paraphrasing. So all of these things is to build up your confidence and trust in the Lord. These are accounts that's written that you have to examine and you have to believe in them and study these things, man. Because anybody that put their trust in the Lord, whether that was Elijah, like we said, Abraham, Noah. Hey, Noah could have doubted and said, you know what, I'm going to be carried away through the flood. All of these accounts, hey, the Lord never left our forefathers confounded. Only time our forefathers was left confounded is if they didn't believe in him. It says, did any ever trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? A lot of times brothers and sisters get forsaken because you wasn't abiding in the fear of the Lord. The Lord is not going to defend you if you're not in his fear. If you're going off doing what's ever right in your own eyes, following after your own vanity and lust, hey, guess what? The Lord is going to forsake you, man. But the Lord would never forsake those that's abiding in his fear. Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins, and saveth in the time of affliction. As many different times the Lord saved our forefathers in affliction, man. Look at the 3 holy children in the book of Daniel, the 3rd chapter, which is a mighty account because, hey, they was literally in affliction. They was in a fire, man. Imagine you're in a fire. You in a furnace. It's hot, but the Lord saved you at the last second. After that, you're going to have a testimony to all ages. So this trust, you're going to need this trust because you're going to be put in different situations where your trust is going to be tried. Your faith is going to be tried, like we always say. Especially in these wicked times. Brother's faith is being tried more than ever. Because the Lord wants to see, do you really believe in him? Because on a deeper level, you are your forefathers, man. You have the same power and ability to do the things that they did. That's why it's written. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 3. All right, let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 3. Right, it's the book of Daniel, chapter 3, and verse number 25. I'm going to start at verse 15. Right, this is Daniel 3 and 15. And it reads, now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Now, the thing with our forefathers, hey, they was righteous, man. Innocent, pure. But they still got tried. How much more for us? All right? That grain of evil seed in Adam has brought forth more ungodliness. These men didn't do anything wrong, but they were being tested. So if these men didn't fall down and worship the image of Nebuchadnezzar, they was going to be put in a fiery furnace. All right? And going to be ultimately killed. Now, that image could worship anything. That image could represent you worshiping the image of the beast. You worshiping women, money, vanity, materialistic things. This image could represent anything. Most importantly, the beast. Because there's many different ways that you could fall down and worship the beast. Celebrating Halloween, man. Lord willing, nobody celebrating the wicked festivities of this world. But celebrating the holidays and rituals of this world. So these men was commanded to go into the furnace. It says, verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. So these men, they say, we don't really have any option. Nebuchadnezzar's not playing. Guess what? The only thing that can save us is if our God be able to save us. And they knew deep down inside that trust in the Most High was there. They had that trust that the Lord was going to save them for the furnace, man. And you have to believe that the Lord, if it be so, our God is going to save us from this affliction. You have to have that same mindset. You have to have that same trust inside your heart. It don't matter what I'm doing. If I'm abiding in the fear of the Lord, hey, the Lord is going to save me, man. As long as you're repenting, fasting, keeping the commandments on fire, and you have nothing to fear about. Verse 18, but if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we would not serve thy gods, nor thy worship thy golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace one 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them to the burning fiery furnace. These men were bound in their coats, their hosens, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. So not only did they get cast in a furnace, they was in there with a coat on, a hat, garments. So they was probably sweating, didn't know what's going on, panicking. But deep down inside, they knew that the Lord was going to come through. It says, therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, did we not cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? And they answered and said, the king, true, O king. And he answered and said, lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of God. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High, come forth, and ye come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth into the midst of the fire, and the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whom body the fires had done no power, nor a hair of their head singled, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. So the Lord saved them, man. Not a hair of their head was touched. That fire, then the smell of fire, you know, when you got a fire and smoke, that smell of fire wasn't even on their coats. It did them no harm. And that's how the Lord is going to protect you. The Lord is not going to cause you to be troubled, hurt. You might so-called panic, but in reality, you're straight. You're still living. You're still breathing. Regardless of all the bills that you might have piling up, all right, your job might lay you off. The cares of this world come upon you, and you're panicking in your mind. Hey, at the end of the day, hey, the Lord could do anything. I mean, we seeing it right now. The Lord saved these men from death. How much more the Lord save you from your financial problems? If the Lord could save these men from death, how much more the Lord saving you from your physical infirmities, the back pains that you have, the leg? How much more the Lord saving you from the stress? It's an easy thing in the sight of the Lord. Right, let's go to Genesis 18. If the Lord is doing things that's man today can't even fathom, how much more for things in righteousness? If you have a heart that believes in him. Hey, the Lord, he was making the womb that was unbarren be barren again. This is the book of Genesis 18 and 14. Is there anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed, I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. So is it anything too hard for the Most High? We've seen the Lord can move mountains. And the Lord took everything from Job, and then in this latter end, gave him twice as much as he had in the beginning. Was it the end of the world? Now, Job in this here, he's thinking, man, it's the end of the world. I have nothing. The Lord has literally set me up to destroy me. Let's go to that account in Job. Right, Job chapter 19. Yeah, this is Job chapter 19 and verse 6. Know now that God have overthrown me and have compassed me with his net. Behold, I cry out of wrong, but I am not heard. I cry aloud, but there is no judgment. He hath fenced up my way that I cannot pass. He hath set darkness in my paths. He hath stripped me of my glory and taken the crown from my head. He hath destroyed me on every side, and I am gone, and my hope hath he removed like a tree. So Job is saying, hey, the Lord took my glory, because Job was a wealthy man. Job had everything. He had a beautiful family, children, cattle, gold, and the Lord stripped him of that. Hey, Job said, hey, the Lord took my crown from my head. He destroyed me. And he also, hey, the Lord could take away your hope that you have in him. Put that hope in somewhere else. But still through all of this, Job was being tried unto the end. His trust in the Most High was being tested. That's the book of Job, chapter 34 and 36. My desire is that Job may be tried unto the end because of his answers for wicked men. So the desire is that Job may be tried unto the end. That his trust may be tried. That his faith may be tried. Or that the Lord is going to see if he's going to doubt or waver. Or just really give up. Like we always say, a lot of times the Lord just want to see if you're going to give up, man. All right? Most I want to see if you're going to give up. Now let's go to Job 42 and verse number 12. It says, so the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Kezia, and the name of the third Corinne Hapuch. Right? So, hey, Job got blessed in his latter end more than his beginning. And why did the Lord do that? Really, the Lord could bring you low just to improve you in your latter end. Again, just to have that faith tried. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 8. Right, this Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse number 16. It says, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee and he might prove thee to do thee good at thy latter end. So the Lord will humble thee just to do you good at the latter end. Just to see if you really trusted in him. Because again, anybody that trusted in him, they was not confounded. Right? Let's go to the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 15. So in these days, it's either trust the Lord or die, man. So if you're not trusting in the Lord, the Lord will forsake you. And if you don't trust in the Most High, the Lord will leave you confounded. The Lord would not save you. He would not save you in a time of affliction. He will let you drown if you do not trust in him. Or if you decide to put your trust in anything other than the Lord will let you die. Before we go to 2 Maccabees, chapter 15, let's go to the book 2 Kings. Right, let's go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 1 and verse number 2. And Ahaziah fell down through a lattice in his upper chamber that was in Samaria, and was sick. And he sent messengers and said unto them, go inquire of Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease. So Ahaziah, he fell through the ladder, and he became sick. And instead of him becoming sick and praying to the Lord, what you're supposed to do in your disease, pursuing the Sirach, the 38th chapter, this man, he went to Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, and he tried to seek him and put their trust in him. It says verse 3, but the angel of the Lord said to Elijah the Tishbite, arise, go up to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and say unto them, is it not because there is not a God in Israel that he go to inquire of Baal above, the God of Ekron. So he's saying to these men, why are you inquiring of Baal above? Is there not the God of Israel? Is it not Yahweh? Does he not exist? Your own God, the God of your fathers? It says, now therefore thus saith the Lord, thou shalt not come up from that bed which thou art going up, but thou shalt surely die. And Elijah departed. So the Lord said, guess what? You want to inquire with other gods instead of seeking me first? You will now die. And that's what's happening to a lot of people. People in the world are dying. Guess what? They get sick. Anything happen, they resort to the weed. Anything happens in certain people's life, instead of resorting to the Lord, they resort to the alcohol and the drink. Anything happening in your life, guess what? They resort to the music, to the clubs, to their family, to everything else, instead of resorting to the Lord, man. Instead of resorting unto the Most High. And if you don't resort unto the Lord, again, the Lord could kill you, just like he killed this king and say, you know what? You was sick. You didn't come to me first. Am I not here? Am I invisible? And guess what? This king, he died. All for not trusting in the Lord, man. All for not resorting to the Lord first and foremost. Hey, the Lord should be your first trust. Not other gods. Not man. And we're not just talking about idols. You can make anything in this earth your God. Whether that's your children, your woman, your job, money, pride, greed. You can make all of these things your God. Lust. If you give too much time to them. Your friends. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Chapter 118 and verse 8. This Psalms 118 and verse number 8. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. Because guess what? Man is going to cause you to go off. The Lord controls man. So why would you put your trust in something that the Lord controls? Right? It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. So always resort to the Lord. A prince can't save you. Horses. And certain people, they go to battle. They don't put their trust in the Most High to go to battle. They put their trust in the strong horses. Yeah, this horse, hey, I got the best horse. I know I'm going to win this fight. Guess what? The fight is not to the swiftest or the strongest or the fastest or the wisest. Because time and chance happen to them all, man. Let's go to the book of Psalms 31, verse number 13. This book of Psalms, chapter 31 and verse number 13. And it reads, for I have heard the slander of many. Fear was on every side. While they took counsel together against me, they devised to take away my life. So David said, I heard the slander of many. Fear was on every side, meaning David was scared. David had people trying to kill him. People wanted to overthrow David because he wasn't judging right. He was in great distress. He was stressed out. It says, while they took counsel together against me, they devised to take away my life. But I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my God. My times are in thy hand. Deliver me from the hand of my enemies, from them that persecute me. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant. Save me for thy mercy's sake. So David said, guess what? All of these things was going on. But at the end of the day, I trusted in you. Because you are my God. And the Lord, he's the same one that brought these plagues upon you. That's Baruch chapter 4 and 29. The same one that brought these plagues upon you could bring you everlasting rest and joy. It's only and again, it could all be like this on a sudden. Now, realistically, it's gonna take time, but it could be on a sudden. Lord say it's an easy thing to make a poor man rich. And that could be not just physical riches. The Lord can make you rich in the spirit, quick, fast. Trust in the Lord. Let's go to the book of 2 Maccabees 15. All right, let's go to the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 15. Right, 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse number 7. And it reads, "But Maccabeus had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him." So Judas Maccabees, as you read in the book of Maccabees, was a very mighty man. Anytime this man went to war, he always resorted into the Lord. Hey, don't forget the accounts in Maccabees, man. All of them is accounts that actually happened. He trusted in the Lord so much that in his last fight, and he went outnumbered 1,000 men to 20 men, because he knew that, guess what? And as in times before, the Lord saved them. Anytime they were outnumbered, they always put the enemies to flight. You want to have the type of confidence that Maccabeus had. He had ever sure confidence that the Lord was going to help him. He was firm. Again, he wasn't wavering. He wasn't in great distress, sweating bullets. What am I going to do? Crying. Just sitting, not eating bread or drink for 3 days. No, he said, hey, I know the Lord is going to help me, man. I know the Lord is going to do the same things like he done in past times before. When you think about it in past times before, the Lord has never forsaken you. If you can, give the account right now. Drop in the comment section the time that the Lord just had you standing out there confounded and forsook you. Guess what? You can never name the time because he didn't. You still alive to this day. You still in the truth. You praising his name, Lord willing. You still in this thing reading, praying, fasting. You watching this video, man. So the Lord has never, on a minor level, has never ever forsaken you. You can't even get an account. And if somebody was, that's just complete folly and blasphemy to his name. Because we just read in Sirach chapter 2 and 10. Hey, those men that put their trust in the Lord has never been confounded. Ever. Let's go to the book of Nahum, chapter 1. All right, let's go to the book of Nahum, chapter 1, and verse number 7. Right, it's the book of Nahum, chapter 1 and verse 7. The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that trust in him. Hey, so the Lord knows the men and women that trust in him. The Lord can tell if you just putting on a facade. You want to look cool for other brothers. You want to look cool for other sisters. You want to act like you trust in him. The Lord knows those that believed in him from the beginning. Right, that's in the book of John, the 6th chapter. Let's get that. So the Lord, you can't fool the Most High. He knows those people that really trust in him and who's just acting like they trust in him. Right, it's the book of John, chapter 6, and verse number 63. It is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. But if there are some of you that believe not, for Jesus knew from the beginning who they were that believed not and who shall betray him. So from the beginning, the Lord already knows from the foundation of the world, those men that trust in him and those men that believe in him and that don't. is gonna only be made manifest. And the time is coming, man. You can't fool the Lord forever. You can't play games forever, man. That's why Judas Iscariot, and the Lord already knew what time Judas was on, man. He was just handling it professionally. And that's deep when you think about it, because that lets you know that you're forced to be sincere, right? You're forced to have a sincere spirit, and you're also forced to do what's right. Because if not, hey, the Lord knew from the beginning who they were that was going to trust in him and who wasn't. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, 25. So it's either trust in the Lord or die a horrible death. It's a book of Proverbs, chapter 9 and 25. It says, the fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be safe. It's like it shall be safe. So again, you put your trust in the Lord, and the Lord is going to always protect you. He's going to have a hedge around you, for lack of better terms, a force field. You trust in him, you're going to be safe. No harm is going to come. But you have to trust in him, repent, do the first works, keep the commandments, and you will fear no evil. Right? But with that, I'm going to give all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Kwamanak Yabushai. Right? We got to get back in here through the Spirit. Nevertheless, Lord willing, this was edifying. Continue to read, pray, fast, study. Most importantly, beseech the Heavenly Father for his mercy. That I'm saying shalom.